Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Varu Serious Podcast, episode number 29, with myself, Dylan, and my dad, Mike. Dad, crazy day in football today. Sounds like you got to enjoy some of it because of the snow day.
Yeah, got a snow day here in Colorado. Crazy snow day in May, very rare. And I got to watch that PSG Bayern matchup. Good matchup. Obviously not as exciting as last week, but still a solid matchup.
Absolutely, Dad. But I think one thing we want to get into immediately that was also not expected is Manchester City's result against Everton the other day on Monday. They drew with Everton 3-3 in the final minute with another beautiful Doku finish. A little bit over the allotted extra time, but probably rightfully so. And Dad, this is a huge moment in the title race as Manchester City drop points. Even if they win their next game, Arsenal's ahead by 2. What do you think this means for the last few games of the season?
Well, I think it means the obvious. Arsenal's in the driver's seat, right? I mean, Arsenal wins out. That's it. So it is a big change of events. Both teams, have shown their ability to get tripped up. Everton's a solid squad. It was in Liverpool, so that helped out. That new stadium is becoming a real hard place to play for opponents. I'd like to think that Arsenal won't get tripped up these last 3 games, but at this point, both teams are vulnerable, clearly. And so I am not counting anything until the season is over and the table is final.
Well, and West Ham has been a bogey team for Arsenal for the past few years. So I'm not expecting it to be an easy game for Arsenal this coming weekend. But Dad, one thing I wanted to jump into here with the Manchester City game is no Rodri. Apparently he has a groin issue. I mean, how lost do they look without him in midfield and maybe guys like Ruben Diaz at the back, that winning experience in the spine of the team?
Well, Rodri is the spine of their team. And I think, whenever he's out, I don't know the statistics. I'm sure they're out there, but you can tell they're just not that same team. They don't have that same confidence. They don't have the same organization. They don't have the same calmness. They seem to be a little more normal, not average. They're never average. But if one player really sets the tone, it's him. And to have them out at such a crucial time, clearly you can see the impact.
Well, you just see the difference in player, I think, Dad. It's, Nico Gonzalez is clearly a good player, doesn't have that experience whatsoever yet, and fell apart when the pressure was on. And then, Kusanov and Gahey, they completely crumbled in that game, unlike anything I've seen, at least from Gahey. But it looked like Kusanov's debut all over again, making that mistake. He's a younger guy, but he was slipping all over the field, silly passes. Pep was absolutely losing it on the sideline, understandably so, because it looked like they forgot how to play for about 30 minutes of that match.
Yeah, the Gahey mistake, my God, I think I texted you kind of likening it to when Zubamendi has made mistakes like that. But man, Gahey looked so tense. He looked so nervous. He looked like he was playing on snow. Like my girls' high school team yesterday, we were playing on snow, and he looked like he was sort of so afraid to touch the ball, so afraid to fall down. It was crazy to see such a good player on such a good team look that nervous. But, these guys are humans. They're not robots. And so I think that aura around City that they've had for years, and even for a time this season, this just not there. And that, too, I think is part of Rodri being out. Everyone has to step up. Everybody has to do a little more. And for some guys, they're not ready for that. And, and Gahey is still new to City. He doesn't have that City aura about him. So he made a mistake.
Well, I was going to say, Dad, I think, I saw a good point about Gahey and Semenyo for City. We've been praising City for bringing them in and making those choices, but a guy kind of showed the other side of it, and he's like, these aren't City-level players of the past. They're good players, but they're not City-level players in terms of the past 15 years, which I thought was an interesting point. He's like, they're not proven winners. They haven't won elsewhere. They're good in the league, but you have to be ready for these moments like we've talked about the entire year, Dad. And you can tell from their previous experiences, they're really not ready for the moment right now. You know, those two guys, especially. I mean, Semenyo, his form has definitely dropped off in recent weeks. I don't think he's scored in the past few weeks. He's not making an impact up there anymore. You're seeing City ebb and flow again, just like Arsenal have ebbed and flowed. And I think it proves, not only is the league ultra competitive like we've talked about, but it's just so hard to, I mean, you can't win every game and you can't be perfect every game. And it just makes what City and Liverpool did all those years like even more unbelievable, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about how there's not parity in the Premier League, but that, these smaller market clubs are being smarter with the money they have and analytics and all those good things. And this is very good for the Premier League and very good for soccer, period. I know people love to make fun of Arsenal and even make fun of City and, oh, this isn't a very good season. There's no real good team. Well, you know what? It's a function of there being at least more parity than the past. And this is what happens. And what I think fans ultimately, especially fans of teams that are typically not in the top half of the table, I'm sure they love this, right? I mean, I know Everton fans loved it. I mean, obviously the heartbreak of giving up that 2-goal lead late in the game, but the fact that they had a 3-1 lead and they had City on the ropes, and yeah, they kind of gave it away in the end, but to have that kind of competitive fixture, dude, that's good for everybody involved.
It was electric. I mean, the atmosphere was electric for that game. Yeah, I think it is good, Dad. I think, you know, people can say what they want to say. I think people are struggling with the fact that Arsenal might win the league. So I think it's a lot of that. I think a lot of people don't want that. But the fact is Liverpool spent over 400 million this past summer. City bought Gahey and Semenyo in the winter. Like it's not like these teams aren't spending and bringing in some of the best players in the world, to the league. That's just not the case. The best players in the world are still coming to the Premier League and playing here, but it's just going to every team now. And it's showing, hey, it's who shows up on the day. So I think this is going to really affect the title, like you said, Dad, and it could be the deciding factor of it all. City still have 4 games left. Arsenal have 3. A lot of football still left to be played, and you never know what teams are going to come up with.
I love it. It makes every game, at least to some extent, worth watching, whether it be a relegation battle or trying to get into a European spot. Most teams have something they're still playing for. They're whether it be a spoiler against a rival. I mean, for me, in the 20 years I've been watching the Premier League, or 20 plus years, this feels like the most exciting season top to bottom.
Mm.
And, once again, I think soccer fans in general benefit when it's like this.
You'd like to think that. You'd like to think that. I think, there's a big difference between the social media side of the sport and who's actually watching and enjoying the games. And I think, regardless of the fan, who we're supporting, I think I just have been enjoying the games more than anything else. Like everyone can cause some excitement and have a good game. So I'm going to keep enjoying it, but I think this is a real pivotal moment in the title race, and I could see Arsenal taking it from here, with their current momentum. It's all about the momentum swings right now.
They better. City just gave them a gift. And it's like, I mean, how many times are you going to bottle it or whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, all you have to do is win 3 games, 3 very winnable games. I know going to play at West Ham is a challenge. Like, I understand all that stuff, but they have the best opportunity they've had in forever. I mean, once and for all, they have to show that they can do it. They showed against Fulham last weekend. They showed against Atletico Madrid yesterday. Like, no more excuses. Just
Yeah.
win 3 games.
The time is now. The time is definitely now. You're playing bottom quarter of the league the last 3 games of the season. Man City is definitely not in terms of who they're playing. So we'll see how it all shakes out, Dad. But we are going to move on today to underdogs of the week. And Dad, I can kick us off here with a little bit of Spanish La Liga action over in Spain there. we had Sevilla getting a ginormous 1-0 against Real Sociedad. And Dad, you'll never guess who scored the goal. You're probably looking at our little guideline here, but do you want to say the name?
No, I'm actually looking something else up. Sorry.
Ah, look at this guy, not even paying attention. No, I'm kidding. Our main man, Alexis Sanchez. I honestly keep forgetting
Really?
he scored the winner for Sevilla in this match, which was a huge game for Sevilla. It actually got them out of the relegation zone in La Liga, beating, the Copa del Rey winners, Real Sociedad. Dad, I'm hoping this means that Sevilla can complete the escape. It would be wild to see them go down to the Segundo division.
Lexi Sanchez. I just saw a statistic about him. I believe he still holds the record for the most goals in the first year in an Arsenal uniform. Like, Gyökeres has had a really good season, whatever, 21, 22 goals, whatever he's got. But I think Sanchez had somewhere around 25 in his first season with Arsenal. And you know me.
Gyökeres broke into the top 10 of the list. The most ever, I think, is like 33 from some guy in the 40s.
Well, I saw Sanchez on the list. And you know me, whenever I see a player dribble too much and lose the ball, I'm like, there's Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah.
God, Sanchez has got to be almost 40, right? I mean, 38, he's got to be.
He's up there for sure. And hey, he definitely had his dribbling kind of hiatuses where he never gave the ball up, but you couldn't deny in a couple of those seasons how ridiculous of a player he was for Arsenal. I mean, he was lighting the Premier League up, and if it weren't for the team just not being able to do it, that team could have done some real damage with him. And if he didn't leave for United, obviously. Anyways, we're reminiscing on the past. Good for him for getting the crucial goal for Sevilla there and hopefully keeping them up. But Dad, who do you have for us this week?
Well, I have our old friend FC Thun winning the Swiss championship, the Super League championship for the first time in, what is it, 125 years, their history?
128?
128, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, how many generations of FC2 fans never got a chance to see this, right? And the fact that they've done it, I mean, we've talked about them months ago. You brought them up, 4 or 5 months ago at least? And the fact that they carried it through with a defense-first mentality, but also scoring goals in bunches, like, it's pretty insane, and it's going to be really exciting to see them in the Champions League next year. I mean, I'd love to see how they're going to match up against teams like Arsenal, SG, Sporting, Juventus, whoever's going to, be in there. It's amazing that they were able to actually pull it off, because I think when we talked about it before, we were like, we obviously, neither one of us is expert on the Swiss league, but it was like, okay, this FC Thun team can't keep this up. And they did.
They held out. And Dad, I think hot take, they might be the next Leicester City. And we all know where Leicester is right now, unfortunately, back down in League One, first back-to-back promotion, back-to-back relegation in their history. I hope that's not the case for FC Thun at all. Like, this is a huge moment. They should absolutely be celebrating and not listening to a stupid American talk about them. But, I mean, they just got promoted, and then they win the league. I mean, just a ridiculous couple of seasons for the club, and good for them. They're going to be in the Champions League. Could completely change the team, but I'm just hoping they have some smart management and ownership in place that's going to guide the club correctly through the next steps to make sure they're a mainstay and they're not going to crumble. I mean, Leicester has £100 million training facilities in League One, nicer than most teams' stadiums down there, and it's all because of that ownership and management has completely crumbled. So, I mean, do you have any of the same worries, Dad, or are we just kind of trying to soak in the glory right now?
I would say at this point, just soak in the glory. If you're an FC Thun fan, worry about that down the line, right? They got you to where you are. Trust in them. If it falls apart, fine. Man, next year is like icing on the cake, baby. Like, even if they don't win a single Champions League match, to be able to be in that to be able to host some, but probably 4 matches, right, at home at the very least, man, just soak it in, enjoy it, worry about the long-term prospects down the road.
No, totally. Yeah, they have to enjoy it right now. I mean, not every team wins the league, and this is it clearly doesn't happen very often, especially for FC Thun in their 128-year histories. Congrats to them. Hopefully, they're celebrating in whatever way they would like to. But yeah, Dad, pretty historic stuff there.
Just real quick, I just want to mention Hearts are on the verge of winning the Scottish Premier League, so that would be awesome. Not as awesome as FC Thun, but just wanted to throw that out there. I'm loving this stuff. As I keep saying, this kind of thing is good for soccer worldwide.
Well, you're jumping the gun there because you might have just jinxed them now. But we'll wait and see. Maybe they'll come up in another underdog of the week in a few weeks here. But, Dad, we got to go back to the top of the food chain and talk about the massive news that we got today. The Champions League final is Arsenal against PSG in Budapest, in Hungary. Absolutely massive. Arsenal's first Champions League final in 20 years. PSG looking to go back to back. And obviously, Arsenal looking for revenge over PSG for knocking them out of the competition last year in the semifinals. I mean, Dad, this is going to be an absolutely massive game. It's fire versus ice a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. I wonder what's a bigger deal right now in Hungary, voting Viktor Orban out or hosting the Champions League final. These are exciting times in the country of Hungary.
Yes.
And, keep in mind, Arsenal did beat PSG this year, right? In the Champions League. Thought we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season.
That was last year's league stage. I don't think we've played them this year.
Okay, I thought they did. But in any case,
We beat Bayern
having
1 earlier in the year. Arsenal beat Bayern 3-1 earlier in the
okay,
league.
maybe that's what I'm mixing up. But in any case, a little on the older side here.
All right.
Having watched that game today, last week you asked me about who was going to win. I said the winner of PSG Bayern. I still think I lean that direction, but after having watched the game today and understanding just how good Arsenal's defense is, especially in Champions League games, whew, I mean, this could be 0-0 draw going to PKs. It's going to be closer than I thought last week for sure. I think what today showed me was that while PSG is damn good and they've got the confidence from winning last season, I think they're not quite as dominating as I thought. So, and it's going to be at a neutral site, which that'll help both teams, I think, in some sense. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really interesting game.
Dad, I think I kind of have a contrasting point to you here just with PSG. Definitely not as offensively, like all over the place, like just showing up with goals today. But what I really wasn't thinking about is people are not talking about that defense enough. That defense is very good. I mean, they kept Bayern quiet for pretty much the entire match today in Germany. Hakimi, arguably the best right back in the world. Pacho, one of the most exciting young center backs in the world right now. Marquinhos, I mean, he's going to be captaining Brazil this summer at the World Cup. And you got Nuno Mendes, who a lot of people say is probably the best left back in the world. I mean, we're talking about how good Arsenal's defense is. You look across the other side, and it's not really much of a difference. I mean, they are fantastic back there. It's going to be a hard matchup, I think, for Arsenal. And Dad, do you think the freshness and the amount of fatigue is going to play a factor as Arsenal is still competing for 2 competitions while PSG has been focusing on Champions League for the better part of the last 2 months?
Sorry, I was also just looking up that 2-0 win Arsenal had against PSG was 2 years ago in the group phase. So the old man here is kind of mixing things together. Can you repeat that last little part you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, Dad, I was just saying the freshness of PSG, is that going to be a factor you know?
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying that, right? I mean, I think we talked about a lack of freshness for Man City last week, and look, it probably was at least part of the reason they weren't able to beat Everton. So, I mean, I think, yeah, the numbers of games that they're playing, it's absolutely gonna take a toll. And you mentioned Marquinhos. I mean, I think Arsenal's defense is better, but like, no, you're right. PSG's defense is really dominant as well. That's why I could see a 0-0 draw going to PKs.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be much more cagey than the final last year. People obviously love to talk on social media saying Arsenal are going to get crushed, this and that. I mean, one thing I know is Arteta is not going to let that team get demolished in normal time. And those Arsenal players are not going to take that. Inter completely capitulated, and we've already talked enough about how Serie A is not at the level at all, right? This is going to be a completely different game. I think it's going to be extremely tense, extremely physical. I think Arsenal is really going to have to rely on the physicality here. Their midfield is much, much bigger than PSG's. Vitinha, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, these guys in midfield are great for PSG. But we're talking, Declan Rice and midfield guys like Lewis Skelly. We're talking about physical workhorses that are going to need to absolutely put the pressure and the physical pressure on that PSG midfield to make the difference, I think.
I think that's huge. And it's the kind of that classic Premier League versus other league mentality where everyone knows the Premier League is way more physical. You get banged around. And for one match, I mean, Arsenal's used to it, right? They're used to banging around against teams all season long. I don't think teams like Bayern and PSG get that experience on a weekly basis or nearly that often in their own home leagues. Not their fault. It's just a fact. And so you're right. I mean, where Arsenal will have a chance to really control the game is through possession and through physical possession. So I mean, I can't imagine Arteta not taking advantage of that. I'm sure PSG is going to look for ways to pass around the physicality. I'm not
Yeah.
sure they can do that the whole game.
No, and Dad, honestly, what I expect from at least Arsenal is a physical setup across the board. I know the team played really well against Atletico yesterday, and you could see a lot of those guys start in that final. But I'm expecting Hincapie to start at left back. I'm expecting, if he's back, which could be crucial, is Timber at right back against Kvaratskhelia, who's arguably the most in-form winger in the world right now. I think Gyökeres up top. The work he put in against Atletico spoke for itself. Arsenal is going to grind PSG down. That is going to be the game plan 100%. But like you said, Dad, we can't minimize the fact of Luis Enrique and this PSG team. They're very, very clever, Dad. And is there something on their side that you see that could really affect Arsenal? Like, is maybe there a player, or do you think Luis Enrique is a huge factor in this game?
Well, I mean, just watching them today, I mean, I've watched them off and on all season. Watching them today, their quality in the final third is definitely superior to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Just player to player across the board. I don't know all the rankings and ratings and whatever, but to the the eye, the naked eye, you watch their quality and the way they ping the ball around. It's pretty incredible. I do think that Arsenal's defense can disrupt that. Do think that Arsenal's going to have to score off a corner kick. They're going to have to score on some kind of breakdown, like, or Gyökeres, somebody kind of out physicaling, if that's a word.
It finishes they started with the
Yeah,
corner.
I think it's going to be more that kind of thing where PSG, if they score, in my mind, it's going to be a much prettier goal, lead up to it because that's the quality they have in the final third. But I don't know, man. This could be a real, like I said, low scoring affair.
I think it could be too, Dad. And I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is, can Arsenal now handle this pressure? This is the most pressure they're ever going to be under, is right in this moment, pretty much today. They know they're playing PSG in the final now. They have 3 games left to close out the Premier League. They are on the cusp of the most historic season in the club's history, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, they are on the cusp of achieving that after they've been at it the last 6 years to get to this point. Can they handle that? And is PSG's comfortability in this moment going to shine through? Are they just simply more ready and comfortable than Arsenal is going to be, or is the pressure going to push Arsenal over the top?
Well, of course there's pressure. I think there's a couple things. First of all, I mean, the obvious, the game isn't till after the regular season's over. It's like a week later, so for now, Arsenal could kind of put PSG on the back burner. They should. And I think that the fact that it's a neutral site in a strange way is actually really beneficial to a team like Arsenal. They don't have to have the pressure of playing at home. They don't have to have the pressure of playing in Paris. So I think in that sense, the pressure is only whatever they decide to allow themselves to put on themselves, right? That neutral stadium is going to change that dynamic. And I think that's going to benefit Arsenal more than PSG. Because, yeah, I think there is less pressure on PSG. They already won it last year. So I think they're gonna be okay. I don't think the pressure is gonna get to them because they can compartmentalize it, focus on the Premier League the next 3 games, then worry about the Champions League.
No, that's a great way to put it, and I think the neutral site could be a big factor. There's always that, mention that Arsenal feel the pressure from the home fans because the home fans are just as nervous as the players, or more so, because everyone wants it so bad. So it might
Yep.
actually be good to not be there. But Dad, it's going to be an unbelievable match. I know we're gonna be watching it. I head to the airport later that day, but we're gonna figure out something to make sure we watch the entire game together because it'll definitely be a special day. But anyways, we're on to the Are You Serious moment of the week, which we're gonna quickly get through here. There was, no lack of controversy in these Champions League matches, Dad. And first off, I want to start with Arsenal Atletico. A lot of people thought Gabriel fouled Giuliano Simeone on that breakaway when he got around Raya, had his arm over him for a second, and then supposedly kicked his leg, or did kick his leg after the ball went. Dad, what do you think of this moment? Do you think the refs got it right? And do you think VAR got it right in that sense?
Man, I don't know. I mean, it's like I feel like if you watch the same play over and over again, you can come to 4 different conclusions. Right? And so, I mean, was it a close call? Yeah, it was for sure. But I'm just getting so tired of watching the same questionable plays over and over and over. And, this guy has his opinion, that guy has his opinion. Like, I don't know, dude. I mean, I think they made the right call in the end. I know there's times where both Gabrielle and Saliba have been red carded, whatever, for plays I didn't think there was. Like, I don't even know anymore, man. I don't even know anymore.
Well, actually, Dad, I want to commend the referee here. I think he actually handled it very well. I think both referees were very, very good in both semifinals across both legs, actually. There's always going to be mistakes, but here's the thing, and I think this is the best point about this specific play. If Simeone goes down from the initial arm across him from Gabriel, if he just falls over right there, I think they call the penalty. Because then it shows he had no attempt on the ball. Gabriel made enough physical contact to get him away from the ball, even if he did just kind of fall to the ground. I think that shows enough for it to be a penalty. I think the reason it wasn't a penalty is because the contact from Gabriel was so minimal. Simeone still got to the ball the next time and kicked it, and it went out of bounds. I think the second contact is complete BS. It's not like Gabriel slid into him or took him out. His leg tapped his calf. The second contact is ridiculous. If that first contact was enough and he fell down, I think it would have been a penalty, but I think the ref did a great job there. Trying not to be biased, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and I think this fits into the discussion just had about physicality of the Premier League, right? These players, that's how they play. And I think it's good to see Champions League refs trying their best to just let the players play, mixing those different leagues and their different styles. Yeah, I don't think you make that kind of brutal call giving a PK in a Champions League semifinal. I just don't think you do.
Well, and if you want to call it a mistake, Arsenal probably should have had another penalty in Madrid the week before when Eze got taken down.
Right.
I mean, you could go back and forth forever. I think Arsenal were the better team overall. But Dad, the other scenario I want to bring up here, honestly, also pointing out good refereeing here was the handball in the box in the PSG Bayern game today. I mean, Dad, how ridiculous. Vitinha into Neves's arm, and those Bayern fans, to your point, were freaking out.
Well, I told you before we started recording that it bothered me so much that the players on the field and, got company on the sideline. Oh my god. First of all, what was those shoes and what was that outfit he was wearing? Don't
He's like a fashionista. Maybe he needs to pay attention more to what's like
Yeah, maybe
happening.
throw on a suit and tie. But anyway, man, they were complaining about everything, and I felt like Bayern, for such a good team, they were belly aching and praying for the refs to intervene to help them to win. It just, to me, it looked like a team that did not believe in itself. And I understand, handball, whatever. I can get it, but like the desperation on their faces, to me, I was like, ooh, that's not good. Like, you're waiting for the refs to help you win here. That's what
It
I
can't
took
be.
from it.
They had the wrong mentality, to your point.
That's what it looked like on the outside to me. And no, the handball was not a handball. I mean, I'm not a referee. I can't explain that behind it, but like his own man was clearing the ball. Whatever. Like, this is not like, is that how you want to win? Like a team like Bayern, like that's how you want to win, is to get a PK for something like that where they gain no advantage by it. Like,
If
ridiculous.
anything, they actually got disadvantaged because they didn't clear the ball. The ball stayed in their half. So if anything, they
Exactly.
disadvantaged. And, we did find, Dad, you and I were talking about it, by the law of the game, if you hit the ball off your own player's arm, it should not be called a handball unless it is directly denying a goal scoring opportunity. That wasn't a goal scoring opportunity. Vitinha had about 10 feet of space where he was trying to clear the ball, and Neves naturally flipped around and his arm flew out and blocked it. I mean, just nothing there. So, Dad, my verdicts today for both of these is no penalty and gold star to the referees in VAR in the Champions League. I think it was actually some of the best refereeing I've seen in a while across multiple games.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I mean, I think they got it right, and I hope the refereeing is the same for the final.
Absolutely, and you'd hope it's that standard in the Champions League. But Dad, we are already to the end of the episode here. We are on to our parting shots, and we're gonna switch it up today. You're taking the first three, and I'm taking the last three. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rolling here if you're ready.
Go for it.
All right, Dad. Great game from him yesterday. Is David Raya the best goalkeeper in world football right now?
I would say yes. I mean, the guy's got a ton of clean sheets. I think he's winning the clean sheet race in the Premier League easily. Arsenal has what, 9 clean sheets in the Champions League? And I realize clean sheets are more than just the goalkeeper. You got Saliba and Gabriel in front of you. But I think as far as his ability to play well in all situations at the most highest competitive level, I'm sure there are other folks out there, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Arsenal fan. If I'm starting a team, I'm picking David Raya as my goalkeeper.
Absolutely. And Dad, I think when you have Peter Schmeichel, arguably one of the best goalies of all time, saying David Raya should be winning Premier League Player of the Season if Arsenal win the Premier League, I think that tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yeah, and Schmeichel is not known for necessarily giving out comments like that, praise like that very often.
Not very easily. Schmeichel consistently talked about how many points Raya has saved Arsenal this season from his outstanding, reflexes and ability. So I agree with you there, Dad. But next question here. Will Pep Guardiola leave Manchester City at the end of the season?
I think it's time. City are not the club they were at their peak. Listen, if they win the Premier League, obviously great time to leave, right? Kind of made his point, proven how good he is. If they don't win the Premier League, they've already won one piece of hardware this season. They could very well win the FA Cup as well.
Yep.
When I watch him, to me, he looks tired. He looks like this is not as much fun as it was at one point for him. So I think he does leave.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. So we'll kind of wait and see what happens here. But last question here, a little bit of fun gossip for you, Dad, and your favorite team you like to talk about. Is Kylian Mbappe wrong to vacation while rehabbing his injury?
I don't care. I mean, like, if he's rehabbing and on vacation, he has a private doctor or trainer with him and he's rehabbing, who cares where he's doing it? Right? I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, he would stay in the training facility. He would be around his teammates. I understand all that. But for me, I'm sorry. This people looking to create a story. So, dude, as long as you're taking care of business and the vacationing is not delaying your return to the team, you can go wherever the hell you want.
Like, all right, it's okay, dude. Just do whatever. He makes millions of dollars. He'll be back at some point. It's fine.
All right, 3 questions for you.
Yes.
Will there be a breakout star at the World Cup this summer?
Ooh, breakout star is tough. But I think at the World Cup, a breakout star can mean a lot of things. It doesn't mean you need to be young, doesn't mean you need to be already a star, not a star, whatever the case. I think there's 3 guys who could be a star at this World Cup. Kendry Paez for Ecuador, young player that is on loan at a different club from Chelsea right now. He's 19. I think he could explode. A guy we've talked about on this podcast, Yan Diomande from RB Leipzig, playing for Ivory Coast, and could have a huge tournament for them. And, you know, they could really be that African nation to watch out for in the tournament if he gets hot. And then lastly, another guy we've talked about before extensively on the podcast that I just think is class is Scott McTominay. I want to see Scott McTominay lead Scotland to some sort of glory. I know they're not going to win the whole thing, but Scotland can really make something happen. They have that vibe about him, and Scott McTominay is a great player. So I think those 3 guys are 3 guys I'm personally looking out for that could make a difference for some of those smaller nations that people aren't really looking at.
All right. Who gets the final Premier League promotion spot?
Oh, you know, for the storyline, I want it to be Millwall so bad, because if West Ham goes down and Millwall goes up, that's ridiculous. If West Ham stay up and Millwall come up, then we get that derby for the first time in a league in who knows how many years, probably at least 14, 15 years, I'd say. So I would love that, but I'm going to say the team that is going to make it out of the playoffs is Southampton. They've scored the most goals out of the playoff teams. They've really come on hot at the end of the season here. Almost beat Manchester City in the FA Cup semifinal. They beat Arsenal. I think Southampton is the team that has the quality to go back up again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And last but not least, who leads the Ballon d'Or race heading into the World Cup?
Ooh, that's tough. I'd say before today, I'd say it was Harry Kane. Still could be Harry Kane. He's had an unbelievable season. I mean, absolutely unbelievable season. I think Declan Rice really has a chance if Arsenal win the Champions League and the Premier League. I mean, you know, people like to talk trash on him and the goal and assist output's not there. Rodri won the award for a similar thing. I know he had maybe a higher goal and assist output, but Rice is instrumental to this team. His defensive work, his just physical output is ridiculous. And the way the award's been going, I could see him winning it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I'm looking at Kalshi, the odds right now. Dembele has a 26% chance, Declan Rice 25% chance, and Kane has fallen all the way down to 17%. He's taken a big nosedive very recently.
Well, so I guess it's, you know, if Dembele wins the Champions League again, you know, with having really good stats, and then France go far in the World Cup, I mean, no doubt there's a chance he wins it back to back, right?
For sure. And I think the same can be said for Rice. If Arsenal wins the Champions League and he plays a key role, and England win the World Cup or go far, Rice probably has the best chance. And at this point, I think Kane is probably out of it unless he has some kind of amazing World Cup where he scores like 7 goals or something.
I mean, he has the stats to back it up, and the World Cup is going to do a lot for the Ballon d'Or this year. That's really going to affect who wins the award, is what country wins the World Cup. I mean, it's become so much about who wins what instead of just purely individual accolades that's going to be the biggest deciding factor, I think, Dad.
All right, bud. A little bit longer episode here, but a lot of good stuff talked about. Let's make sure all those folks out there give us thumbs ups and comments and subscribe and all those wonderful things.
You're right, Dad. You're right. And hopefully you guys enjoy the extra minutes from us today. We had a great time chatting with y'all, and let's do it all again next week. But thank you guys for listening along. We'll talk next time. Bye-bye.